All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is May 19th, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I'm the lead instructor here at BYOB Trading, in the BYOB Trading room at BYOBTrading.com. Hey, let's go take a look at some charts today. Not a bad day for me. I will share my results in just a second here. Okay, so I traded a few 0 DTEs. I traded some 4 DTE SPY, and I traded some 1 DTE SPY. I don't know where the ones are. Here they are, right here. All right, let me add those to the mix. All right, so you can see I traded some 605.11 DTE calls, and I will punch those in so you can see what those look like. And you can see right here, just kind of bought the lows and sold into the rallies right through here. All right, so I made about 500, looks like 556 on those. And 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, that was the trade. 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, just stayed with that almost all day. All right, then we traded some 600 strike 4 DTE calls. I'll pull those up. You can see what those look like. And you can see right here, buying the lows and selling into the rally. See the breakout right there. So looks like I bought 10, sold some into that. A little pullback, bought some of that, sold into the rallies on those. So got a $878 gain on those for profit. All right, and then I traded some 585 calls for DTE. I had those left over from Friday. All right, so I'll pull those up. You can see where I traded those. Bought some, sold into the rally. Bought some, sold into the rally. Never pulled back to fill these other orders here, so I never got filled. Wound up making on those, made $1,937 on those. Had some 588 calls short that went against me, and you can see I'm still holding a small position of those right there. And those I traded. We will look at those, and you can see those were short. So I was trying to buy the lows, and we didn't get much of a pullback to VWAP nor under VWAP. Market was very bullish. Okay, we gapped down, and let me just say, the bulls bought it right back up. Okay, we got some bad ticks through here. Sometimes that happens during high volatility. Haven't seen that in a long time on TC2000. This is about the first time I've seen it show up on SPY, probably in about 6 or 7 months. All right, haven't seen that in a long time. All right, what else did I trade? Traded some 0 DTE calls. All right, made 18,000 on those, and we'll pull those up. You can see what those look like. Here's the 3-bar chart. I picked those up in the afternoon after I saw the trend day. Okay, trend day is when I got a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP between the hours of 11 and noon, and then I went for the 0 DTEs on those, and wound up selling into the rallies on those, made about 18,000 on those. All right, so what did I accumulate today? I did accumulate some SIGA calls. All right, I accumulated some 242 days till expiration 540 calls. Bought those for $1.70, and you can see here SIGA on the daily chart. Okay, you got a little grinder box, and you can see the breakout right here, looking like a possible gap fill coming in here. I like the higher low. I'm looking for a higher high. All right, so I got SIGA on those, and 540 calls, 240 days till expiration. Got some CGC calls, $3 strike, $242, 242 days till expiration. And you can see here's CGC. Here's the box. You can see the grinder box breakout right here. Actually looking like an MMRP on the bullish side. Kind of pull up, pull back, and now price breaking out to the upside. Looking for price to get up to 218. That's my target, 218. Okay, so we had a little rally on those. I guess those got up to, let's see how high they got today. Well, they seem to gap up open right all the way to 53 cents. Wow, that's pretty good. If I can get 53 cents for those. And I bought those CGC calls for, my entry was 28 cents on those. All right. So, all right, let's go take a look at some charts. All right, let's move this stuff out of the way. All right, and let's take a look at SPY. All right, on the 10-minute, okay, we had a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP right through here. Nice rip, rally up there, back up to yesterday's high, Friday's highs, and then a little bit higher. Okay, so Friday's highs and a little bit higher. So price action ripping up there, a little pullback, didn't even touch VWAP. All right, so we did the whole gap fill thing right up through here. All right, so there's 10-minute on SPY coming into the close, 10-minute uptrend coming into the close there. On the 2-hour, still got that 2-hour uptrend. Okay, now I keep talking about this. All right, you can see we've got a 2-hour uptrend inside of a daily uptrend, inside of a monthly uptrend. We don't have a weekly uptrend, but let me just say this, okay? It's not moving down, okay? It's moving up on the weekly chart, okay? So got a daily uptrend, don't have a weekly uptrend, but let's just face it, the weeks aren't making lower lows here, okay? The weeks are looking good. So there's SPY on the weekly chart. And so on that note, I like to trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, okay? Because we've got this 2-hour uptrend inside the daily uptrend, inside a monthly uptrend, all right? And it's all over on top of all this price action is on top of all-time high anchored VWAP. So every 10-minute uptrend that I get an opportunity to trade, I will probably jump all over it. All right, that's for SPY. All right, so let's take a look at the game plan. You can see right here, price action. Okay, underneath 588.30. If you had a red candle and a 10-minute downtrend, didn't have a 10-minute downtrend all day, so that didn't even trade out. SPY pivot, above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. You can see we didn't even have any red candles to trade. A downtrend underneath the pivot, so there's no downtrend. So mostly all bullish. So all we needed was a 10-minute uptrend, and we had a 10-minute uptrend almost on the fourth 10-minute candle coming out of the gate. Had a nice 10-minute uptrend, and we traded that all the way up and stayed in it for the most part with the trend day. So there's the game plan, and you can see price action was green. Erase is red over 593.50, but let me just say you already had the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP over the pivot, so you didn't even have to wait for the 593.50 to trade that. Okay, so there was SPY game plan. All right, let's take a look at SPY on the daily chart one more time, and we'll look at it over here. All right, so you can see we had an outside day. Okay, it's a higher high and a lower low, closing over the bullish trap, okay, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Trump tariff, that actually goes down here. Right there. Okay. So over the all-time high anchored VWAP, which is this pink line right here. See this pink line? So you can see price action making higher lows and higher highs. Got a higher low and a higher high. Okay. Got a high here. See it come up over the 17. That's these red dots. And you got a little high here coming over the red dots. little high there coming over the red dots. Well, you can see we made higher highs. All right, so that's an uptrend. Higher low, higher high, that's an uptrend. So there's SPY on the daily chart. And you can see we're up here in quadrant 4. All right, all the way up here at the top, quadrant 4, that's bullish and in an uptrend. So things looking good on SPY. No complaints there. Nice big rally today. You know, we went down and the bulls bought it right back up. All right, I'm just saying there's a possibility that the market has bought the dip, and they may want a 2-for-1 risk reward. And I'm just going to say, like, let's say this is the dip right there. Okay, and if we do a 2-for-1 risk reward just from there, not from up there. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that, but I got to duplicate it one more time. See if I can grab a hold of it, stack it on top. All right, and then I'm going to duplicate it one more time. Actually, I'll just pull this down, and I'll just take this one out and put it on top there. So 2-for-1 risk reward coming from the top of this inverted head and shoulders right here. Okay, brings us, this is gonna blow your mind, all the way up to 770. That's huge. 770. I mean, I'm thinking 650. Maybe 650. I'll be happy if I just get a double top. But you can see with a 2-for-1 risk reward in the market or the funds buying the dip, and you can see why they want this so bad. Every little dip, I mean, is getting bought up. With a risk reward of all the way up to, 770. I don't think we get that high, but let me just say the market can shock you how far it can go when everything's in order, all right? And there's a lot of stuff that's in order right now. I'm talking about a low dollar. I'm talking about a down dollar in a downtrend. I'm talking about financials in an uptrend and bullish. Technology in an uptrend and bullish. Small caps and mid caps are just now turning the corner. They're bullish on the 15, but not, and they just got bullish on the 3-bar chart, and they're not quite bullish on the daily chart yet, not in uptrends yet. They are moving up, all right, but they just haven't made higher highs. Okay, 3-bar chart just made a higher high on Friday. And then we got FNGB, which is the 10 of the my heaviest weighted securities, 10 of some of the heaviest weighted securities in QQQ and NASDAQ. That's also bullish and in an uptrend and over its all-time high. So it could really, there's a possibility it could do this. All right, I think we're one tweet away from making a new all-time high, if you ask me. Okay, one negotiation away from making new all-time high. So you can see right there. There's the 770 target. Don't know if we get it. Let's just say we get a 1-for-1 risk reward, which I would be supremely happy with. Up here at 678. Okay, that is a 1-to-1 risk reward. So we'll see what happens, all right? 678. I think any of us would be happy with 678. All right? 770 would probably blow us out of the water. All right? But just saying it's on the table, all right? So keep an eye on NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the most, to me, in my opinion, it is the most sought after security, because it represents almost all of the future, including robotics, Bitcoin, everything. NVIDIA with the graphics cards and supercomputers and stuff like that. Just keep an eye on NVIDIA. Wherever that's going, I got to think, as long as that's going up, I think market continues to drive higher. All right. So, I mean, I think NVIDIA is the stock of the future. So you can see super microcomputers jumped up quite a bit today. SMCI. They are also considered part of the future. You can see them rounding out a bottom here, jumping back up into this 45 area. Remember, this was one of those securities that was, I don't know, it was down here around $8. All right. And then at the beginning of 2024, it got all the way up to 122. And there's still some demand for this product that they're selling. So we could see a double top on that. All right, looking like they're breaking the downtrend line right here, right now. So there's SMCI. All right, let's go back and look at, we just did QQQ. Let's look at, no, we just did SPY. Take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ up in quadrant 4, that's bullish. I'm on the daily chart. You can see price doing the whole, looking like an outside day. I don't know for certain, but I'll look at it here. 521.70, 522.53. So outside day, closing over the bullish trap, over the 17. That's that. See these red dots that turn to green dots? Okay, that's the 17. You can see the 3 EMAs on top of the 8 EMA. All right, that's the faster moving average is the 3. All right, so that's our bullish trap. See the space in between the 3 and the 8, okay, and it's pointed up. All right, so that's a bullish trap right there. So closing over the bullish trap, over the 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, over the uptrend line, up here in quadrant 4, making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. All right, let's take a look at FNGB. All right, FNGB today, lower high, lower low, but closing over the bullish trap, over the 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, which I think is not quite correct. All right, but they did change it around some. It's correct for this, but it used to be called FNGU, and the all-time high was much higher before that. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, this is bullish. It's in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. See if I can get this quad line to stick. Hey, it's going to stick today. All right, okay. Up in the upper third, so that's bullish. All right, so that's bullish right there. So there's FNGB. That's bullish and in an uptrend. That's the big cap stocks. All right, the big ones, big ones. I mean, so big, I mean, you put them all together, they could pay off the national debt. That's the market cap for those ones there in FNGB. Pretty big. Maybe not pay off the whole debt, but let me just say, they could take out a big chunk of it. All right, so there's FNGB. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, looking like a higher low and a higher high over the trap, closing over the trap. Okay, over the pink line, that's the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, closing over the trap, over the 17. See the red dots turning to green dots. That's our 17 EMA. Closing over the downtrend line, so they broke the downtrend. Up here in the upper third, that's bullish, and higher lows and higher highs. All right, that's an uptrend. All right, let's take a look at IWM. All right, IWM is a lower high and a lower low, closing over the bullish trap, over the hooking 17. Red turns to green here. Okay, over, let me see if I can say it's over, not quite. Under the, it's a 12-month high anchored VWAP. Well, not, oh, the all-time high anchored VWAP. Is that the all-time high? Yeah, over the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's the all-time, yeah, all over the all-time high anchored VWAP for IWM. All right, and in an uptrend, higher lows and higher highs, that's an uptrend. Okay, but down here in quadrant 2, all right, so not in the upper third, not in the lower third. So this is neutral through there. Okay, IWM, neutral. All right, let's take a look at technicals. T2122. Well, you can see we got tossed out of the overbought zone for a micro minute. I mean, we just had time to have an espresso, and we jumped right back into the overbought zone. And we just hung out there all day. Now we were there, we spent the whole day there Friday, all right, and then we got tossed out. I mean, we only had time for maybe a potty break and an espresso, and then boom, we're right back in the overbought zone. So that's really bullish, all right, right there. T2123. Oh my gosh, look at this, 19th. Green from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Okay, anytime you see these bullish gaps not getting filled by the bears, that's weakness on the bears' part or strength on the bulls' part. Okay, so see all these bullish gaps that aren't getting filled? One there, there. Okay, that's strength. Closing up over the hooking 200 SMA. See how this was pointed down? All right, and in the last 20 trading days, we've turned this thing from pointing down to flat to hooking up. All right, so T2123 on the 15-minute chart is making higher highs and higher lows and creating a nice bullish environment. Look at all these gap ups that aren't getting filled by the bears. All right, so nice work there. Heading up to some prior all-time high right up here. Okay, looking good. 3-bar chart, same product, okay, just 3-bar chart. Okay, so we making higher highs on the 3-bar chart. See, there's a high right there, and we're making a higher high. We're up over the 200 SMA, putting in 3 more green candle bars here today, moving up, still melting up. We're doing good. And on the daily chart, we kind of got to make this a higher high on the daily chart, which requires us to come all the way up here. So we'd have to shoot through these 2 prior all-time highs and tackle that high right there, that hump right there. Okay, so still a lot of work to be done for T2123. That's mainly represents a lot of small caps and mid caps right there. T2123. And FNGB, again, you can see price action. See the bullish gap up, all right, right there. Another bullish gap up, not getting filled by the bears. All right, see the consolidation over consolidation. All those are bullish environments. See this? Anytime you get consolidation over prior consolidation, that's bullish. Anytime you got bullish gap ups, it's not getting filled by the bears, that's a bullish environment. Okay, you can see some more consolidation right through here. And I'm sure it spreads over. Again, that's bullish environment. You can see price action up over this high anchored VWAP. That's a bullish environment. And you can see price action up over this rising 200 SMA. Also a bullish environment. So we got SPYs looking good. All right. The mid caps and small caps got to get in gear. All right. But SPY has been looking really good. QQQ is looking good. Let's take a look at a few sectors here. We'll start off with XLE. All right. Be prepared to get disappointed on XLE. It's hasn't been the prettiest one recently. Okay. XLE, lower high, lower low, closing under inside of a bullish trap. But over the 17, under this downtrend line 1, downtrend line 2, okay, it is neutral, and it made a higher low and a higher high. So it's an uptrend, but it's neutral, but it's still under this 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. Still under this downtrend line 1 and downtrend line 2. And you can see it's not in the upper third, and it's not over all-time high anchored VWAP. So it's just neutral. I think that's not even all-time high. I think that's just a 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, so XLE, still a lot of work to get done there on the energy sectors. Take a look at USO. Okay, USO, no higher high, so it's in a downtrend. Okay, price action for the daily candle makes a higher high and a higher low, but still got to make a higher high than this high right here. Price action is closing up over the bullish trap, over the 17. I'm going to give it to them today. They're no longer in the lower third. Okay, I'm just going to give it to them. Not in the lower third, so that's neutral. All right, so they just got out of the bearish zone. They're still in a downtrend. They could fall back in there just as easily. And you can see price action up, still underneath this 3-year high anchored VWAP. Okay, that's a post-COVID high right there for energy. All right, so price action still neutral on the energy on USO. All right, let's take a look at UNG. Okay, UNG got, well, you can see lower highs and lower lows. Yet again, another lower high. And looks like they're trying to dig out another lower low right here. Lower high, lower low for the daily candle underneath the bearish trap, underneath the 17. Underneath this 12-month high anchored VWAP, that's a pink line. You can see them closing down here in the lower third. That's bearish. And in a downtrend, and underneath the downtrend line, and underneath the trap, and underneath the falling 17. So UNG got a big head and shoulders. I say we probably come down here and probably dig out some new lower lows. That's UNG right there. So downtrend and bearish right there. Take a look at GLD. All right, GLD is in a downtrend because they made a lower low. Here's a low. Right there, they made a lower low. Price action is a higher high and a higher low, closing inside a bearish trap under the 17, under the pink line, which is the all-time high anchored VWAP. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish, all right, and in a downtrend, but up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. So closing up over this uptrend line. Let's take a look at silver. That's bullish up there, all right. Silver, still in a downtrend, but good news, like some of the other securities, it's not moving down. Okay, so here's silver, just moving, it's moved up and held the higher ground. Higher low, higher high, closing under a bearish trap, under the 17, under the downtrend line, yet to make a higher high, so still in a downtrend, but in the upper third, well, not quite. Nah, it's close. It's close. All right, so I give it to them. So silver in the upper third, so that makes that bullish up there, but still in a downtrend because they haven't made a higher high. You can see still caught underneath that downtrend line. All right, let's take a look at SMH. All right, SMH in the upper third up here, so that's bullish. Making higher lows and higher highs. That's in an uptrend. And you can see up over this all-time high pink line anchored VWAP and above this downtrend line. Okay, so SMH, bullish up here. All right. Nice wind up, looking like they're going to take off here. Like a launch pad going on. Let's take a look at XLK, big brother to SMH. Same kind of candle, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17. Over the uptrend line, that's this diagonal gold line right there. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's the pink line. Okay, closing over the 17. See the red dots that turn into green dots, so over the hooking 17 EMA. All right, so that's bullish up there and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at XLF. Same thing going on in XLF. Higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's the pink line. Okay, we pan out. You can see we're all the way up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish up there. Okay. See, when you move down and you give it up, that's neutral. Well, the same thing goes when you go up. If you go up and you give it up, that's neutral. Okay, so they're bullish because they're up there right now. Okay, XLF. IYT. All right, IYT knocking on the door to the bullish zone up here in the upper third. I'm going to give it to them. All right, that's pretty good performance so far. Lower high, lower low, closing over the bullish trap, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, up here in the upper third, just barely. Okay, they just walked through the threshold. All right, so that's bullish. making higher lows and higher highs, so that's an uptrend. All right, so IYT. So got transports in an uptrend, financials in an uptrend and bullish, transports in an uptrend and bullish, technology in an uptrend and bullish. We got the big cap stocks, that's the mega weights, all right, in an uptrend and bullish. And we've got the small cap and mid cap stocks, and we've got the dollar in a downtrend, that's good. And we've got small caps and mid caps in a 15-minute uptrend, and now we just made Friday 3-bar uptrend. So just a little bit closer, and we could have a daily uptrend. All right, so a little bit more work to do on the small caps and mid caps, but everything looking good for that robust rally. Like I said, I think about a tweet away from some really good news. I think. Just remember, like a lot of these small caps and mid caps, with inflation, they're getting more. I said this earlier this morning. They're getting, more money for their goods and services because inflation causes the price to go up. So they're getting more money for the same product. So that's going to bring more into the top line. And if management is doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, a lot of that top line, all right, profits, maybe even should transcend to the bottom line, all right. And with that happening, that gets them a higher earnings per share, which in turn gives them a higher price. So keep an eye on those small caps and mid caps. I think they could be re-challenging the all-time highs. We'll see what happens here. Maybe not this year. Maybe they re-challenge it next year or in a couple years. We'll see what happens. But everything's looking good. All right, so that's it for me for today. All right, I went through all the trades. I want to just say shout out to Scott. Made a couple daily goals. All right. That means when someone makes a daily goal, it means they increase their account by 1% or 2%. So our daily goal is 1%. So if they did 2 daily goals, that's 2% for the day. And that's pretty huge, all right? That's growing your account. If you did 2% every day for a week, for 5 days, okay, that's 10%. Maybe even 11 if you compound it. All right, so there's 10% in 1 week. You put, 2 or 3 weeks together like that, and before you know it, your whole account's up 50%. So Rita made a daily goal today. I know some other people did. I don't want to miss anybody, but I think I may. Stu made a daily goal. I think I said Scott did, and a couple daily goals. These guys. And yeah, Scott got 2 daily goals. Jim got 2 daily goals. Way to go, Jim. I just want to congratulate everybody. And I just want to say that, they're trading something that I've been teaching for a long, long time. It's that 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. And they're making money with it. All right. And they're learning to stay in the trend and ripping profits out on each time candles, I guess, poke away from the 3 EMA on that 10-minute chart. So that's what they're trading, and they're doing well. So a lot of people were making some daily goals today, and I'm happy to see that because, I can do well, but it's meaningless if I do well. It's more important that the traders in the room do well. So that tickles me to see that happen. All of them making daily goals today. All right, so that was an awesome day. Way to go, traders! Pat yourself on the back. That was a long day. That was a long 10-minute uptrend. We've seen some 10-minute uptrends go for a long time. Today was pretty long day for that 10-minute uptrend. I'll just review it one more time. Of course, it started at the beginning of the day. And you can see didn't break till 2 p.m. right there. So that's a long time to be in a trade, from 9:30 or 9:15, 9:45 all the way till 2 o'clock. Okay, that's a long time to hang on to a trade, and congrats to them for doing it. All right, so way to go, guys. So proud of all of you. Thank you for hanging out with me today. All right, and Robert says he likes BSX, TTAN, SNT. Brad, did you get a daily goal today? I think I saw you did. Nvidia 30-minute. Do you think buyers are eating up supply? Probably breaking out, coming. Yeah, it couldn't trade today. Okay, let's take a look at. Let me just get these. I think Robert wants me to look at these. BSX, daily chart. Yeah, nice uptrend. That's looking good. Nice breakout. You got it, like inverted head and shoulders. Got a huge neckline here that's looking ready to get broken. You're right up into resistance. I'm sure you already know that. That looks like it's going to break through. That's looking fantastic. BSX, right there. That looks like new highs. That's probably an all-time high. I wouldn't doubt to see this. Watch those trades that are making new all-time highs for those birthday trade setups. All right, because that's when it happens, when there's no price action here over to the left. Okay, those birthday trade setups. So there's BSX. That's looking fantastic. TTAN. All right. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Double barrel right there. Double barrel bulls right there. Boom, boom. Side by side on that one. See the grinder box? Busting out of the grinder box. New all-time highs for that one Friday. And right back again today to try some more. Okay, that's looking fantastic. Higher lows, digging out some higher highs. Yep, you're right into resistance again. It's busting through. It looks higher. Up over that all-time high. And could VWAP like that one too. Robert, SNT. SNT, another one. Challenging. Not quite the all-time high. All right, that is. All right, but that right there is. See these highs over here. We haven't been up here since post-COVID. Okay, so nice little breakout there. You're into resistance on that one as well. Okay, give them a chance to grind that one out. All right, so that's looking fantastic. Nice breakout right there. Look at that consolidation breakout. I like that one. Again, got a higher low. Looking for that to make a higher high. So SNT looking fantastic. Last one, QXO. And QXO is, all right, breaking out to some highs, not some all-time highs. You're into resistance. It'll probably create a grinder box somewhere over here to get through some of that resistance. I don't think it will pass on the first candle, but nice day today for that one as well. That's looking really good. I like that. Yeah, you got, see this resistance here? And you're right into it right now. Right there. That's like 8-month or 7-month resistance right there. All right. And then who knows? You might be filling the gap here up to $59. Definitely going to come down here and hit this. See that valley between two peaks? That's definitely going to be a target. Okay. That would be top of my list. That would be my target. $40 right there. And I wouldn't wait to take my profits. It's like $39 for me. I'd start extracting and moving my stop up right into that valley between two peaks. So that's looking good. All right. Might have to create a little 5-day grinder box and then have a breakout. Okay. That's looking good. Sorry, just recovering from a little flu, but I'm getting better. All right, I'm not completely 100%, but I am getting much better. NVDA, and yeah, oh yeah, nice consolidation up there. Yeah, nice consolidation. Aftermarket, I think he mentioned something with aftermarket. Oh yeah, yeah, they're just, anytime this thing pops down, they're just picking it right back up. Yeah, this is the future right here, NVDA. All right, you got the inverted head and shoulders. See the head, shoulder, shoulder. Yeah, this is looking fantastic. You can see we're breaking the downtrend line right through here. Okay. Okay, this is looking fantastic. This NVDA. I expect to come back up here, start challenging some more resistance overhead around 144, 145. So the video looking good. Yep. Like it. Yeah, that looks higher. That looks higher, much higher. All right, so yeah, hey, thanks, Robert. All right, so thanks everybody. Thank you, Brad. Thanks everybody for hanging out with me today and this afternoon. All right, I'll see you guys all tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. All right, we'll do it again. All right, again, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Okay, that's inside a 2-hour uptrend, inside a daily uptrend, inside a monthly uptrend, all of that over that all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a unique environment right there that you don't see very often. Okay, so think about how you want to trade that. NBIS, CR, VDM. Okay, all right. We'll take a look at those tomorrow. All right, Robert? All right, traders, that's it. See you tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to everybody that made some daily goals. I'm so happy for all of you. And congrats to some of the new people that made daily goals. Way to go. Thanks, Brent. All right, everybody have a wonderful evening.